The axe, the classic image of the Tower execution, poised to deliver the fatal blow to the victim kneeling on a scaffold at the execution site. But how close to reality is this? The execution we know most about took place in the age of Queen Elizabeth I. In her reign, only one person was beheaded within these walls: the dashing Earl of Essex. He had been one of her greatest favourites, a national hero rumoured to be her lover. When he lost his head, it was the ultimate fall from grace. Essex's last days were written about in detail at the time, so the Tower's curators can accurately piece together the anatomy of an execution, starting with the scaffold itself.
We've got the vital kind of statistics here, haven't we? It was raised some 4 foot high and in breadth 3 yards. So it's quite high off the ground, and it's not that big, being 3 yards broad. It does seem to be fairly kind of classic of having a raised floor like that, a wooden structure, having some very simple little steps going up to it, and then there's room for about 8 people max sort of thing on it. But then, of course, there's this.
This startling woodcut is of the execution of the Earl of Essex. It provides some of the best clues, showing how the scaffold was set up and exactly how Essex died. The plan is to recreate the scene of execution for a Tower exhibition. The new scaffold is based on the original documents and made from solid oak. We know exactly what the Tower authorities ordered 400 years ago for the death of Essex.
It shall be some 4 foot high, in breadth 3 yards, and railed around with small poles.
Work began to prepare for his death. For the exhibition, a replica of an executioner's axe is being made. It's basically a traditional woodsman's axe. There was no special design for cutting off an earl's head.
Now, you want to see a demonstration? Well, you're not going to.
In the wood workshop, the scaffold is nearing completion. Using Tudor joinery techniques, the whole scene is as accurate as possible.
We were saying when they chopped the head off, not a very nice thing to think of, but there must have been a huge mess as well from the heart probably pumping out.
Well, that's why that's why there's
or...
straw on it, and I suppose it just kind of sweep it up.
Oh, it was covered. The deck was covered in straw.
You might do
oh, right,
that.
okay.
It's easy to imagine a very similar conversation taking place in 1601, just before the beheading of Essex. 400 years after the death of Essex, his scaffold is back at the Tower. The replica is being put together for the exhibition inside the White Tower. But where within the Tower's walls was the original setup, in preparation for the real execution of the Earl of Essex? For over a century, the famous scaffold site has been marked out for visitors. But is this the right spot?
If you were to believe this sign, you would accept that the Earl of Essex was executed on this site in February 1601. However, the situation is far more complicated than that, and we know for sure that the Earl of Essex wasn't executed here. In fact, he was executed on the middle of the parade ground over there. And it's almost certain that Anne Boleyn was executed there as well. We know this from contemporary accounts, which the people who marked this site out were unaware of.
The confusion about the scaffold's location seems to date from a visit of Prince Albert to the Tower in 1861.
He told the Lieutenant Governor of the Tower that the Queen Victoria, would be much pleased if the site of the execution of Anne Boleyn could be marked out. Armed only with an 18th century engraving of the execution of 3 members of the Black Watch, the authorities took this site. And it was duly marked out the following year, 1862, with a small brass plaque. The execution of Robert, late Earl of Essex, the 25th of February, within the Tower of London.
Upon Ash Wednesday, in the morning at 1 o'clock, the Lieutenant of the Tower gave the Earl warning, as he was in his bed, to prepare himself for death, which would be that very day. All things were prepared for the execution within the tower by 7 or 8 o'clock. The Earl was brought to the scaffold that was placed in the High Court above Caesar's Tower.
In the shadow of this tower, Essex prepared to meet his maker. His dying speech was carefully recorded.
I desire you, my lords here present, to see my just punishment. The number of my sins are more than the hairs on my head. I pray you all, pray with me that when you see my arms outstretched, my neck upon the block, and the strike to be given, it may please God to send down his angels and lift up my soul to his mercy's seat. Executioner, strike home.
The Earl patiently waited for the blow of the axe, though when it came, the executioner, quote, performed his office ill, and 3 strokes were needed before the head was severed.
And so Queen Elizabeth's last favourite died. This woodcut shows just how Essex lost his head. He certainly wasn't kneeling down.
If you put it there, he's got a 3-foot-long axe. Well, it's a woodman's axe, 2.5 foot 3. So he's going to need a swing. So that's probably out there. That's it, and arms out. Arms out, that's it.